we have an amazing woman who's got another airport fiasco story, Sharon.
I know. I feel like a sister here.
Yes. I mean, this is, women at airports. I mean, what else is there?
I don't know what's going on because I have somebody at the New York airport right now trying to get here, and she's been delayed 24 hours too.
What, LaGuardia?
She was supposed to be at JFK, and they switched her to LaGuardia.
Because LaGuardia had that accident yesterday where the plane slid off the runway.
And she is flying on Delta, so I think that's part of the whole backup now. Yeah,
I bet it is.
But I spent 24 hours in the Dallas-Fort Worth airport. Oh, my gosh. Dallas got a freak snowstorm. Our plane sat on the tarmac for 3.5 hours before they pulled us back to the gate. It was one of those just, crazy situations. I was, live tweeting the whole thing. So before I knew it, I was getting, blown up by every media outlet imaginable. So I ended up, doing a Skype interview from the airport with GMA. So I'm working even when I'm trying to.
Well, being blown up by the media, though, is your thing. And we should introduce this lady. Yes. Her name is Giselle Phelps, and she is the owner of GJP Media Services. So why don't you tell everybody what you're doing here?
Yeah, so I'm going to be on a media panel tomorrow afternoon with some amazing other ladies in Canadian media, like I think Farah Nasser and Jacqueline Milcharek are on that panel too, which is awesome. So I'm going to be talking about maximizing your U.S. media influence. So my company, we do 3 key things. So we help people with their exposure. So I'm constantly getting my clients in the U.S. media across all platforms, television, radio, print, online. I do media training and video production. And our video production specializes in telling new style videos. I'm a former TV reporter, so I was working in Dallas, Texas at the Tribune station there. I kind of developed a specialty in telling women's stories. So our station had a very young demographic, which was women 18 to 40. So my news director put the pressure on me every day to come up with a story idea that really appealed to that demo. So I came up with just crazy story ideas every day, just uncovering new trends that women were, whatever they were doing.
Yeah.
So it became a niche.
It became a niche. So how important, you're here in Canada, and we have a ton of just gems in terms of mompreneurs, entrepreneurs, women in general. Do you think Canadian business women need to have that U.S. exposure? For example, we talk to people in the entertainment business, and they say Canada doesn't have a star system. You're not recognized as a star here until you've been recognized by the U.S. Does the same thing apply in business?
I think it depends on your product or service, right? So if it's something that's extremely hyper-local, maybe not. But if it's a product that you're selling online that Americans have the ability to purchase, or if it's a product that's in American stores, of course you need to have American media influence because you're limiting your reach, and you're limiting your
well, e-commerce is global.
Exactly. So, if it's a hyper local, something that you can only purchase in Brampton, then maybe not. But if it's online, if you're trying to expand your reach, then you absolutely need U.S. media coverage.
And media coverage in general. Like, I don't know that people sometimes recognize how important it is, because it's one thing to say I'm online, but to get people to look at you online, that's a whole other story, right?
That is a whole other story. And, I always tell people, so if you do a television interview, a radio interview, I'm sure, if I catch somebody's interest today, they hear me talking, what's the first thing they're going to do? They're going to go Google me, right? So they're going to say, who is this Giselle Phelps? Okay, let me Google her. So what comes up when you're Googled? Do you have news clippings? Have you been reported on by credible news organizations? So that all leads to your credibility. Right. So it all works together. So it's really, really important. Yeah.
What would your 5 top tips be then for a young businesswoman starting out who had a product that was maybe potentially had global appeal?
So my tip for Canadians that are interested in getting U.S. media coverage, we all know that buzz creates more buzz, right? So if you've never been on a U.S. media outlet, I say target your nearest local media market. So if you live in Windsor, Ontario, you're right across the border from Detroit.
Right.
If you live in St. Catharines, where I grew up, you're right across the border from Buffalo. I grew up watching all the Buffalo news stations, and I was lucky enough to end up anchoring in Buffalo. So target your nearest local U.S. market. Get on their morning show. Say, hey, I have a product that moms in Buffalo would love to hear about. I'm half an hour away, or I have a product, that moms in Detroit would love to hear about. So pitch yourself, sell yourself.
But this is where you come in, though, because it's one thing to have a story, and you have a story, and they're needing content for their shows. However, you've got to be able to sell them that story so it sounds like something they want to do. And that does take some guidance, right?
It does take some guidance, and that's where, I always talk about tracking, positioning, and executing. So being able to track media opportunities and then position yourself accordingly to land them. So that's where I come in, and it's really, I always tell people I'm a journalist, so I really have a journalist-to-journalist relationship with most editors, producers, reporters. So I really package things up for them in a bow and hand it to them to make it easy, because we all know what it's like in a newsroom. They don't really have a lot of time to think, and it's just understanding how the newsroom decision-making process works, which is why my business has been successful. So
what you're doing is giving them the hook.
I'm giving them the hook.
Instead of making the assignment editor look for the hook, you're handing them the hook on a platter.
Yes.
And then they go, great, let's just
and
assign
a
reporter.
Right.
It's a gift.
Exactly.
Right?
It's a gift. Exactly.
You're listening to What She Said on Sirius XM 167. Canada Talks on location live at the Toronto Airport Sheraton. And we are chatting with Giselle Phelps of GJP Media Services. You must get a real rush when you've seen someone that you've coached go out there and get that placement.
I really do. And you know what? I'm so blessed that I've been able to make this transition from, reporter to entrepreneur. I call myself a journalism entrepreneur. And at first I was like, am I going to feel the same, how I did when I told a story and it made news? I feel so much better because I'm getting them coverage. I'm working with them so personally, and it's a really amazing feeling. When I first started doing it, and I would media train folks and I would pitch their story, and I got emails from clients saying, I felt so confident. I'm just so happy we got this message out. It really makes you feel good. And for the most part, I'm working with women and minority business owners whose products or services that I also think are pretty amazing. I work with an organization called Parkinson Voice Project. They're based out of Dallas, Texas. They're the only nonprofit in the U.S. that helps people with Parkinson's reclaim their ability to speak. Mm-hmm. So that's just an example of some of the clients that I'm working with. So just helping tell those stories. I mean,
amazing.
It's amazing, yeah.
But you also tell stories of hot messes.
I do.
Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I'm a little bit of a hot mess, I think, sometimes.
Oh, girl, come on.
Yeah, no, I'm a little bit of a hot mess.
For people who are listening, she's not a hot mess at all.
She's
hot.
That's it.
No, I think I feel like a hot mess. So, this is a really funny story that you guys will probably get a kick out of. So when I was anchoring in Buffalo, I anchored weekends, and a reporter came back one day with a hot mess script. It was just a hot mess. And this was, 6 years ago at this point, more. And I wrote hot mess on it, and I took a manila folder and I wrote hot mess folder on it, and I put the script in there. Yeah. I took a picture and I put it on Facebook, and it grew a life of its own. And people would always say, Giselle, put this story in your hot mess folder. Put this story in your hot mess folder. And I'd say, well, what is the hot mess folder? So I was like, it needs to become an actual an actual thing. So I created this website that takes a daily look at hot mess news in 4 categories: celebrity, politics, sports, and then just general news. So every day, I have a little team of bloggers that contribute to it, and we just comment. We give sassy commentary on things that are making, news. Mm-hmm. We call out all sorts of, Justin Bieber should be in there today because I heard of the lineup for his roast, and Martha Stewart's going to roast him. That's a hot mess.
I didn't see that. Oh. That's funny.
And then I was hearing about this tunnel that somebody built for a man cave in Toronto.
Yeah.
That is a sizzling hot mess.
Oh, isn't it?
It is a sizzling hot mess. But, this is how far men will go to get a man cave.
And
it's the middle of winter. And you know what? I thumbs up. I mean, I do believe that there was nothing, there was no bad intention here.
Right.
But honestly, I just thought it was so cute.
I think that women are going to start building these, and when they're mad, it's like, go down into your hole. Go.
Go down the block, into the forest, down into your hole.
And stay there.
I think actually women will find their tunnel on an island in Bali. Bali or
mine's
something.
in Nassau.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
that's where my tunnel
I
is.
don't want a tunnel in minus 40-degree weather with dirt.
Right, exactly.
I want sun and sand.
I'm with you, Christine.
There's a
And I wanna-
mompreneur opportunity in this somewhere.
I want to drink. I want a drink with an umbrella in it.
Right,
You know.
me too. I want, never-ending Prosecco or something, with me, yeah.
Oh, you are so one of us.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, Giselle, this has been a pleasure. We're going to have
Okay.
to get together and chat again soon because there's just
Definitely,
never
yeah.
enough time. But it's great to see you here, and
Yes.
we're looking forward to hearing from you at the conference.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on.
Our pleasure.
This is What She Said on Canada Talk Sirius XM. We are at the Sheraton Airport Hotel in Toronto at the 2015 Mompreneur Awards of Excellence Conference. We'll be right back.
Love me, even when I'm ugly, still better love me. And I can be late for a date, that's fine, but you better be on time.